everyone. I am so excited to film this for you guys. So I have been kind of on this journey or exploration of finding foods that I can make at home. So in case you didn't know, I am just your regular suburban stay-at-home mom. I do not have a homestead. I didn't realize that there were so many things that you can make at home instead of buying at the grocery store. It's like making yogurt. I think that was one of the first things that I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually make that in my own kitchen. This is one of those things that I am trying to see if I can actually make on my own. We are making kombucha. I love kombucha. Some people hate it, and that's fine. I can still be friends with you if you don't like kombucha, but it's like over $3 for like a jar of basically carbonated tea. I mean, there's obviously a lot of benefits to kombucha. So I really wanted to see if this was something that I could make on my own. It's supposed to be a lot cheaper per bottle. And yeah, I have no experience in this. I am following Homestead and Chill. I'll link it in the description box. I am following their directions on how to basically make it. So what we need is a fermenting vessel. We also need a SCOBY. This is the starter culture that will create the good bacteria in the kombucha. So you need one of these. This also has the starter liquid. So you need 1 to 2 cups of starter liquid. This is from Fermentaholics. This is the recommended SCOBY starter from Homestead and Chill. I went with theirs because I don't know anything about it, so I'm not gonna take a chance on something I don't know. You also need black tea bags, 4 to 6 of those. You also need a cup of sugar. So sugar here, already pre-measured it, and then a gallon of boiling water, which is right over there. So I'm really excited. That is boiling. I am going to put my tea bags in there with the sugar. I'm going to do all of that, and then I'm going to let it come to room temperature. So it says here 75 to 85 degrees is ideal. So I'm going to get that started, and I'll see you for the next step. Well, it is officially like 3 hours later, so I was not anticipating it taking that long for the tea to cool down. So the tea has to cool down to like in between 75 and 85 degrees so you don't kill the live cultures that are in the SCOBY. So I now, while everybody is awake, I'm going to transfer our tea into our gallons. That I'm doing the continuous brew method, which is why I have a spigot here. This will allow me to not have to redo the process. I can just keep everything brewing. Oops. Oh geez. Well, make sure your spigot is closed before you start transferring the liquid. That's awesome. Okay. Well, like I said, this is my first time, and clearly it is showing. Okay, let's try this again. So we're gonna keep transferring this here. And now we're gonna go ahead and add the SCOBY liquid, or the SCOBY and the starter liquid. So I've never looked inside this. I have no idea what this is gonna look like. So we're gonna find out together. I'm gonna bring you guys a little bit closer so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I wrapped my kombucha vessel with Christmas lights. This is what my resource that I was using, Homestead and Shell, recommended doing if you have an area that isn't quite warm enough. So I live in Michigan. My kitchen is relatively cold, but I did keep it kind of near the stove. I did just do a temperature check using a meat thermometer, so I don't know how accurate that is, but it says like 61 degrees. But because it's pretty low, I did wrap it with Christmas lights just to keep it a little bit warm. So the prep work is done for now. So this is gonna be the hardest part. This is waiting the 7 days to 21 days until it's actually become kombucha. And then we'll have to wait another 7 to 10 days after that to do the carbonation process. So I'm going to check it every week to see what we get. But I guess because this is a new SCOBY, it says that it will normally take a little bit longer. Hey guys, so it has been a full week since I started my kombucha. So it's just been sitting here. I haven't done anything to it. So I will go ahead and show you what it looks like now. This is all new, so you can tell that this has been growing. Time to take our first taste test. So in the directions that I'm following, it says that kombucha can be brewed anywhere between 7 days and 21 days. Now I have a very new and young SCOBY, so I'm not anticipating this to be ready to do the second fermentation. I'm planning to do a taste test for week 1 and week 2, and then after week 2, I'm gonna kind of taste it basically between days 14 and 21 to see if I need to go the full 3 weeks or if I need to stop somewhere in between there. We're gonna find out if I'm a real kombucha fan or not, because I really only ever had like the flavored kind, where they already put the different fruits and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a taste. This is non-carbonated, so doing a little smell test. It kind of smells like if you have, when you drink your kombucha and it still has like that little bit left at the bottom and it's kind of been sitting out. That's what it smells like. It smells like warmed, flat kombucha. So it smells like apple cider vinegar a little bit. It's giving me vinegar, but it tastes. It tastes like kombucha, but it's still like very sweet. Like I can tell that it's not done. I can tell that it still needs a little bit longer to go. If you don't ferment it long enough in this first fermentation, then you're not gonna get the benefits of drinking kombucha. So, which is part of the reason I do drink it, because of those probiotics. I think I'm gonna keep this going for just a little bit longer. I'm gonna see if I can order some of those pH strips because they say that kombucha has to reach a certain level of acidity for it to be considered like kombucha. I'll catch you guys at the next taste test. So far, I'm looking forward to this. I think that this might actually work. We'll see. Okay, so it is day 16 of my kombucha brewing. We are gonna go ahead and take another taste test and see how things are coming along. It looks pretty healthy. I'm pretty impressed with how easy this has been going. Really, I just kind of set it and forget it. So we're gonna go ahead and do a taste test here and figure out if we're ready for bottling. Okay, I'm gonna show you up close. It honestly just kind of looks like a little dirty, a little murky. It smells like apple cider vinegar. Like that's what it smells like. Okay, so this tastes like kombucha. Like I can actually taste the acidity of it. Like it's much more acidic than the first time I tasted it. I did not get the pH strips. So I really don't know if it is quite the right acidic level. I actually might bottle this. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the bottling process. I might let it sit for another day because if I'm gonna make mango kombucha, before we bottle this, I am gonna go ahead and get my mango puree out of the freezer and let that defrost, and then we will bottle this tomorrow to start the second fermentation to make it carbonated. I'm really impressed with this. Like, it straight up tastes like kombucha that you would buy. Today is the day, guys. We are gonna go ahead and bottle our kombucha for a second fermentation. So I've got my fruit here. So this was low-key, this was the twins' baby food that I had made and froze and that we just never got to. So it's mango, and we are gonna go ahead and use this to make a mango kombucha. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this unplugged and put it in a pitcher. I've already got my backup tea here, so we're using the continuous brew method so that I can just, once I empty that and bottle it, I'm gonna put a new batch of fresh tea in there with some of the remainder, remaining kombucha, and then it will brew again. So in about 2 weeks time, I'll have another batch of kombucha. So let's go ahead and bottle this, and then I'm gonna add the fruit. Okay, so I'm trying to fill it up to about here, and then filling the rest up with puree. The second fermentation process is anaerobic, which means that the air will be shut off using these flip tops, and then the CO2 will get released when it's mixed with the sugar from the fruit, and it will create the carbonation inside the bottles. So I'm a little worried. I don't want these things to explode. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add about 1 ounce of fruit to each of these bottles. Maintaining them at a specific temperature isn't as important during this process. So let's go ahead and put some fruit in here. All right, you guys, so it's been 2 days since we last bottled these kombuchas. So what we need to do now is a burp test. So we're gonna go ahead and just let out the teeniest, tiniest bit of air, or we're just gonna kind of like ever so slightly like lift the top off of these to see if it's beginning to carbonate. And then if we can hear like a hissing sound, then we are gonna go ahead and close them and let them go for like another day or two. That's gonna let us know that it has been carbonating. So we're gonna do this very carefully. This is my first time doing this, so I'm not really sure what to expect. So I'm gonna bring you guys in closer to see if we can hear any hissing. Okay, so in case you didn't realize, none of those made like a hissing noise, so there's like no carbonation in there. I'm a little concerned that maybe I did something wrong, but I'm just gonna be a little bit more patient, maybe give it another day or two and see what it comes up with. Okay, today is the day where we get to taste test the official bottled kombucha. So I had it sitting on the counter for about 6 days to carbonate. So I did the burp test and it didn't really fizz, but you're not supposed to do the burp test more than once. So I'm kind of going in blind to see if it actually carbonated or if I gave it enough time. So let's see. Okay, so I didn't really hear like a pop or anything, so it smells like kombucha. Okay, so here are my final thoughts on the kombucha. The process really easy. Like, I was very surprised with how simple the whole process was. I think what's scary about it in the beginning is that it's fermenting something, so you're not really sure if you're doing it right until you get to the final product. So even for me, I didn't really get a carbonated product towards the end, so that was a little disappointing. However, it still tasted very, very much like kombucha. I think there's that underlying base layer of kind of like this tart tea that is kind of behind every kombucha that you have, even if you get it in the stores. There wasn't a very prominent mango flavor from the kind that I had, but overall, I would drink it over and over again, and it made me feel even better that it comes down to 20 cents a bottle. So that's pretty good compared to $3.79. Now, granted, I did have some upfront costs. So total, I spent around $60 on the gallon pitcher, then the 6 glass bottles, and the SCOBY. So it was a one-time cost of $60 for those materials, and then per 6 bottles, it was $1.20 for each brew. So the big question is it worth it? I did the math, and I would have to make about 17 bottles to break even, which is only 3 brews. That's comparing it to GT's kombucha, which is my personal favorite, which goes for $3.79. Like, that's pretty pricey for a 16 fluid ounce drink. And if I can make that in my house moving forward for 20 cents, I think that's worth it. However, if you're not somebody who drinks a lot of kombucha, and you're somebody who just drinks it every now and then once in a while, okay, go ahead and splurge on the $4 drink and get it every now and then. The other thing I did notice is, especially as your SCOBY matures, it takes less time in between brews. This time I did go a little bit longer with my second brew, so I went about 3 weeks. So I needed my bottles by that point. So if you're not somebody who drinks a lot of kombucha, even and you still want to make your own, I would highly suggest getting more than 6 bottles. Enough so that you can do 2 fermentations at a time. That way you have bottles to drink and then bottles at the ready to do the second fermentation. Now that I'm a little bit more committed, I probably will go ahead and go buy another set. That way I always have some kombucha in the fridge and then kombucha brewing. And I don't have to feel like I have to drink kombucha just so that I have an empty glass bottle. Again, overall, the process was very, very simple. I did end up getting the pH strips and testing my brew at the end. So you'll notice that it was between 3 and 4. So it wasn't quite it could have been 3.5, but it was probably closer to the 4 end. But it still very much tasted good. So to me, that wasn't a waste. I think the cool thing about experimenting with stuff like this is finding out what is worth your time. If you're somebody who is an avid kombucha drinker and you're willing to kind of take care of your SCOBY and be there to maintain the bottles, by all means, I think it's super cost effective, definitely worth that. And I think there's a lot of creativity with changing up the flavors. This time I'm definitely gonna do like a strawberry lemonade or like my version of a gingerberry for this second batch. And the best thing is that it's fresh and you are in complete control of the ingredients. So I think that's the coolest part. You get to control what you're using to sweeten it. There's no preservatives in there unless you put them in. So I think that's really cool too. Again, the great thing about whether it's kombucha or anything else about making it at home, one, I think it's important to learn these skills because once you get started, it opens the door to so many other things that you can learn to make. And not having to rely on companies to provide things for you. So one, I think it's great to learn a new skill. And 2, just having that overall control and autonomy over the food that you consume. If making things at home is taking away from the more important things in your life, then by all means, go to the grocery store and buy them yourself, because at that point you're paying for convenience. And if you know it's a good quality, then or even if it's not good quality, if it's something that you like and it's a treat for you, then great, go for it. But I love the ability to try and see if it is something that I'll continue doing. And now that I'm in it, I think I'm gonna keep doing it. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed following me along as I try this kombucha. Check out my other videos where I make other things from scratch in my own kitchen.